The northern forest stretches endlessly before you, silent, pale, and ancient. Trees stand like frozen sentinels, their branches heavy with frost, the air so cold it bites through your lungs. There is no wind, no sound, just the low creak of the woods and the distant echo of something moving. This is Wendigo country, the place where hunger never ends. The stories have been told for centuries by the Algonquin tribes, whispered around small fires during the longest nights of winter. They spoke of a creature born not from darkness but from desperation, a man who, in a moment of hunger, devoured another human and was cursed to crave flesh forever. His soul twisted, his body stretched thin, his heart replaced with ice. That was the birth of the Wendigo. Legends say he roams the coldest lands, wandering across frozen lakes and endless pine forests, hunting the warmth of living things. He doesn't need to eat to survive. He eats because he cannot stop. The more he consumes, the emptier he becomes. His hunger is a wound that never heals. To see a Wendigo is rare, but to survive seeing one is impossible. Those who've claimed to have met him never made it back whole. Some froze in fear, others went mad before they could even scream. The few who escaped spoke of tall shadows in the snow, and a silence so complete it drowned their heartbeat. It's said the Wendigo doesn't attack immediately. It watches first, from a distance, through the trees, studying you. He learns the sound of your steps, the rhythm of your breathing, the tone of your voice, and then, when he knows you well enough, he begins to whisper it back to you. You'll hear someone calling your name, maybe your friend, your mother, your child, but when you turn toward the voice, there's only the forest and the faint crunch of snow behind you. He is not a beast that chases. He is the forest itself waiting. Every shadow, every whisper, every misplaced sound could be him. And in that silence, something inside you breaks, because you realize you're not being hunted by something outside. You're being consumed from within by fear itself. That's how the Wendigo finds you, not by running, but by waiting until your will to survive freezes along with your body. And when that moment comes, he moves faster than you can blink. You won't even feel the claws until the world around you fades to white. If you were to see the Wendigo up close, truly see it, you might think at first that it was once a man, and you'd be right. Somewhere beneath the layers of frostbitten flesh and splintered bone, there's a trace of what he used to be. But that shape, that memory of humanity, has been warped into something grotesque. He stands taller than any human, sometimes twice the height, his limbs too long, his fingers ending in yellow claws that seem to have grown from shattered nails. His skin is grey and cracked, stretched thin over bones like parchment over kindling. Every movement makes a faint sound, the quiet snapping of frozen joints, the grinding of ice against sinew. Yet, despite his frailty, he moves with unnatural speed, silent as snowfall. His eyes are the worst. Hollow and black, they reflect no light, only absorbing it, as if the forest itself disappears into them. Some who have seen those eyes say they shimmer faintly, like embers buried under ash, the last spark of whatever he once was. Others claim his stare can freeze your soul before he even touches you. The Wendigo's mouth is a wound that never heals, torn wider than it should be, lined with jagged, uneven teeth that look more like shards of bone than anything natural. His breath is visible even in the cold, not from warmth, but from decay. It smells of death and winter, a mix of rot and ice that clings to your skin long after he's gone. He's not alive in the way you are. His body doesn't function, it endures. His blood runs thick and black, almost tar-like, and it never warms. His heart, if it still exists, beats only when he's close to feeding. Hunters say the snow around his feet never melts, no matter how long he stands there. Wherever he walks, the cold deepens, and then there are his senses, sharpened by the curse that made him. His hearing can pick up the faintest snap of a twig a mile away. He can smell a drop of blood beneath a layer of frozen ice. His sight pierces darkness the way wolves see the moonlight. He doesn't need to see you to know you're there. He feels your heartbeat through the still air, the way predators sense fear. It's been said that when a Wendigo is near, the forest reacts. Wind dies, birds vanish. The fire in your camp begins to struggle as if gasping for air. The forest holds its breath. And so do you. Because once he's that close, no wall, no weapon, no prayer will keep him out. And if the legends are true, he never stops moving. Even when you can't hear him, even when you think you're safe, he's still walking, still searching, forever hungry. The Wendigo doesn't live like other creatures. He doesn't build nests, nor dens, nor homes. His lair is the wilderness itself, endless and empty. Yet those who've ventured too far north and returned with trembling voices say he keeps places he returns to, places where the cold is deeper and the air itself feels wrong. They describe caves carved into frozen cliffs, their walls etched with long scratches as though something enormous tried to crawl its way out. Some have found hollowed-out trees, their cores frozen solid, filled with bones stripped clean and arranged in spirals, like a message in a language no one should understand. These are not signs of habitation. They're warnings, graves of hunger that never ends. In the heart of winter, the Wendigo roams near frozen lakes and buried logging camps, drawn to where people once lived, and starved. He's often found near ruins, cabins left behind decades ago, places where desperate men once prayed to survive the snow. The Wendigo remembers such places. They're his birthplaces, echoes of the first hunger that created him. When the wind passes through these dead settlements, it carries his voice, a hollow, low moan that sounds almost human. Some believe he sleeps standing, frozen in place for days, disguised among the trees, waiting for sound or scent to wake him. Others say he never truly rests, that even when still he's aware, every vibration through the snow, every crack in the ice calling him back to life. He is patience given form. He can wait weeks for one careless step, and yet his existence isn't chaos, it's ritual. His territory stretches for miles, and he follows the same paths, marked by clawed trees and ancient blood frozen into bark. Those who've stumbled upon these trails speak of seeing pieces of clothing, a glove, a boot, fused into the ice, as though the forest itself devoured the people who once wore them. It's not random. The Wendigo remembers where he's fed. He revisits his hunts, not for food, but to taste the echo of fear left behind. Inside his lairs, the temperature is unnatural, colder than the air outside, as if the world itself rejects his presence. Fires refuse to burn there. The smoke curls and dies, smothered by the chill. Sometimes, faint tracks of bare, elongated feet can be seen on the floor, preserved perfectly in frost, like the prints of something that's been gone for centuries, or never truly left. There are stories from trappers who found his marks near the edge of their camps, long claw grooves in wood, higher than any man could reach. One such man, delirious with frostbite, claimed he saw a tall shadow just beyond the tree line, still as stone. When he blinked, it was gone. In the morning, he found his food untouched, but every piece of meat was covered in frost, as if something cold had breathed across it. No one knows how the Wendigo survives when there's nothing left to eat. Perhaps the curse sustains him, feeding on fear itself. Or perhaps that's the real reason he watches from the dark, and because hunger isn't just his curse, it's his only companion. The Wendigo doesn't chase, he waits. That's what makes him different from beasts and monsters. Beasts hunt for survival, monsters kill for chaos. But the Wendigo, he stalks for the silence that follows terror, for the taste of fear when it realizes it's already too late. Those who've encountered him say he begins with a wind. When he comes, the forest grows still, not silent, still. even the snow seems to stop falling, as though the air itself is holding its breath. Then, from somewhere beyond sight, comes the faint sound of breathing. Slow, deep. A hollow echo that doesn't belong to anything living. It's said the Wendigo can mimic human voices, calling your name in the tone of someone you love, pleading for help from beyond the tree line. Many have followed those voices, and none returned. He can move without sound, gliding between trees despite his size, leaving only faint impressions in the snow that vanish within minutes. Hunters describe seeing his eyes before anything else. Small, burning embers in the dark like coals hidden behind frost. When you see them, it's already over. The Wendigo has chosen you. His hunger has found a shape. He does not strike immediately. His way is patience. He follows for days, sometimes weeks, learning the rhythm of your camp, the path you take to fetch water, the moment you sleep. He feeds first on your fear. You'll start to hear things that aren't there. A soft crunch behind you, the creak of ice beneath a weight that never shows itself. You'll dream of him, even when awake. The Wendigo invades before he attacks. Trappers and travellers claim that before he strikes, the air becomes unbearably cold, colder than the wind should allow. Frost forms on your lashes, your breath crystallizes in front of you, and then comes the smell, rot mixed with iron, sharp and ancient. A warning too late to matter. When he finally attacks, it's swift and silent. You won't hear a roar or a scream, just the sudden weight of despair, the feeling that the world has gone completely still around you. Some say he paralyzes his victims with fear alone, freezing them as surely as the ice beneath their feet. Others insist he moves faster than sight, striking with claws that can slice through bone like bark. It's said that no one truly sees the Wendigo's full form and lives to tell it. Survivors, if they can be called that, remember fragments, hands too long, joints bending the wrong way, ribs pushing against thin grey skin. A mouth that opens far wider than it should, filled with shards of ice that glisten like teeth. His voice, when he finally speaks, sounds like wind scraping through dead branches. And after the attack, the forest falls quiet again. The only trace of him are footprints that melt before the sun rises, and a patch of snow turned black from frostbite. Animals avoid the area for weeks, and even birds refuse to cross overhead. Nature itself recoils from the wound he leaves behind. But the most terrifying stories come from those who claim the Wendigo doesn't always kill. Sometimes he leaves one person alive, a single witness to carry the terror back to others, to keep his legend breathing. Because that's what he feeds on too, not just flesh, but remembrance. Every retelling is a new offering. Every fear spoken aloud keeps him alive. And so, deep in the frozen woods, the Wendigo waits, listening, watching, patient. Because as long as winter returns, someone will always wander too far. If the Wendigo is born of hunger, then what can you use against something that has never known satisfaction? Legends say he cannot die, not in the way humans understand death, but there are ways to drive him back, to make him retreat into the deep wilderness where he belongs. The key is to understand his nature, to fight not the creature, but the curse that made him. The Algonquian elders spoke of the Wendigo as a spirit of imbalance, born when greed devoured gratitude, when men took more than the land could give. Because of that, fire is said to repel him, not because it burns, but because it represents warmth, sharing, and the life he's forever denied. A strong fire, fed by courage instead of fear, can keep him at bay. Hunters once carried embers in hollowed stones as charms, whispering words of thanks to the earth with every step. Few still remember those words. Silver, the weapon of many myths, does nothing here. The Wendigo's body is too far gone, frozen flesh stretched thin over the idea of a man. Bullets shatter against him like hail on stone. Blades may cut, but the wounds freeze shut almost instantly. The only true defense is distance and silence. If you hear him, you run. Not toward the light, but into it. Never answer the voices calling your name. They are not your friends. They are echoes he wears like a mask. Some tribes spoke of ritual fires that could purify the Wendigo's soul, freeing the man trapped within the monster. But to do this, one would have to get close enough to pierce his chest with a blade carved from blessed ash and light it aflame while speaking the names of the ancestors. No one has ever returned from attempting it. The stories remain more prayer than possibility. Others say starvation is his only weakness. If denied prey, the Wendigo withers, turning into brittle ice before collapsing into snow. But how do you starve a spirit that feeds on fear itself? As long as people tell his story, as long as someone feels a chill walking alone through the woods at night, he survives. The Wendigo doesn't need to eat to live. He only needs to be remembered. And yet, there's a haunting mercy in his legend. Some believe that when he takes his victims, he doesn't just destroy them, he frees them. In the final moment, when frost closes their lungs and the pain fades into numbness, the Wendigo offers peace, the same cold silence he's known for centuries. It's said that his whisper, the one heard right before the end, is almost tender. He tells them, "Now you understand." The few who claim to have seen him and escaped tell the same thing. The forest never feels the same afterward. Every gust of wind sounds like a sigh. Every crack of ice feels like a warning. Survivors carry the mark in their dreams, eyes watching from behind the trees, a shadow that moves even when the world is still. So, how do you survive meeting a Wendigo? The truth is, you don't. You endure him. You remember him. You tell his story by firelight, hoping the telling itself keeps him satisfied just a little longer. Because the Wendigo doesn't crave your flesh first. He craves your fear, your guilt, your memory. And somewhere in the endless winter, he listens, waiting for the next echo of his name to reach him through the dark woods. The next soul foolish enough to wander too far into the cold. The Wendigo is hunger itself, and hunger never sleeps.